When 10-year-old Raj Patel created a simple solar-powered water filter for his school science project, he never imagined it would catch the attention of one of the world's most famous innovators. But that's exactly what happened when his YouTube demonstration video went viral and landed in Elon Musk's feed. Now, this brilliant young inventor from Bangalore, India, has been invited to join Tesla's exclusive NextGen Innovators program in Austin, Texas. His ingenious water filtration system, built from recycled materials and designed to help communities like his grandmother's village, might hold the key to solving one of humanity's most pressing challenges. As Raj and his family face the life-changing decision to move across the world, no one could predict how this child's creative solution would evolve into something that could potentially transform millions of lives. The journey that begins with an unexpected email is about to change everything, not just for Raj, but for people around the globe who lack access to clean water. The blue glow of the computer screen lit up Raj Patel's eager face as his fingers tapped rhythmically against the desk. Outside his window, the busy streets of Bangalore were already alive with morning traffic, horns honking in the distance as vendors set up their carts along the roadside. But Raj barely noticed the familiar sounds of his neighborhood. Every morning, for the past 3 weeks, the 10-year-old had the same routine. Wake up at 5:30 a.m., brush his teeth, and check if anyone had commented on his YouTube video. "Only 20 new views," Raj muttered, slumping in his chair. His video, How to Build a Solar-Powered Water Filter from Recycled Materials, had just over 2,000 views. Decent, but nowhere near what he'd hoped for. His science teacher, Mrs. Sharma, had encouraged him to share his school project online, saying his invention could help people in rural villages. Raj had spent months perfecting the simple device that used plastic bottles, charcoal, sand, and a small solar panel to filter dirty water. A notification popped up on his screen. New email. Raj clicked over to his inbox, expecting another newsletter. From the science magazine he followed, his eyes widened as he read the sender's name. Assistant@tesla.com. "Mom! Dad!" Raj called out, his voice cracking with excitement. "You need to see this." His mother appeared in the doorway, still wearing her nightgown, her long black hair tied in a loose braid. "Raj, why are you shouting? Your father is getting ready for work." "Look," Raj pointed at the screen, nearly bouncing in his seat. "It's an email from Tesla." "Tesla, Mom." His mother stepped closer, squinting at the screen. "Tesla? Like the car. Company? It's probably spam, beta. Don't open it." "It's not spam," Raj insisted. "Look at the email address. It's really from them." His father appeared behind his mother, adjusting his tie. "What's all this noise about?" "Raj got an email that he thinks is from Tesla," his mother explained, sounding unconvinced. Raj's father leaned over to look at the screen. After working in IT for 15 years, he had a good eye for phishing attempts. The domain does look legitimate. Open it, but don't click on any links yet." With trembling fingers, Raj clicked on the email. "Dear Raj Patel, my name is Amelia Rivera, Executive Assistant to Elon Musk. Mr. Musk recently viewed your YouTube video demonstrating your solar-powered water filtration system and was impressed by both your engineering skills and your commitment to solving real-world problems. Mr. Musk would like to schedule a brief video call with you to discuss your invention. If you are interested, please reply to this email with your availability for the next 3 days. The call would last approximately 15 minutes. For verification purposes, this conversation can include your parents or teachers. Best regards, Amelia Rivera, Executive Assistant to Elon Musk Tesla. Raj read the email 3 times, his heart pounding so hard He could feel it in his ears. "This can't be real," he whispered. His father read over his shoulder, eyebrows raised. "It could be legitimate, but let's be careful. Elon Musk is one of the busiest people in the world. Why would he want to talk to—" He stopped himself, looking at his son's face. "I mean, your invention is brilliant, Raj, but this is unusual." "Can we reply?" Raj asked, his eyes pleading. His mother crossed her arms. "I don't know about this. How would Elon Musk even find your video?" Raj had an answer. "Ready? He's interested in sustainable energy and technology. He probably has people who look for innovative ideas online. My video has tags about solar power and water filtration." His father nodded slowly. "That's actually possible. I've read that. Tech companies monitor social media and platforms like YouTube for emerging talents and ideas." "So can we reply?" Raj asked again, practically vibrating with anticipation. His parents exchanged a look. That silent communication Raj had seen countless times when they were deciding something important. "Let me verify the email header first," his father said, taking control of the mouse. After a few minutes of checking, he nodded. "It appears legitimate. The domain and routing check out." "So it's real." Raj's voice was barely above a whisper. "It seems that way," his father conceded. "But I still want to be on the call with you, if it happens." "Me too," his mother added quickly. Raj nodded vigorously. Yes, of course. Can we reply now?" With his parents' supervision, Raj crafted a polite response, saying he would be available the following day after school. He read it over 3 times before pressing send, his finger hovering over the mouse button for several seconds before he finally clicked. "Now we wait," his father said, patting Raj's shoulder. "But don't get your hopes too high, Beta. Even if this is real, it might just be a brief conversation." But Raj could hardly contain himself all day at school. During math class, Mrs. Sharma caught him staring out the window, his mind clearly elsewhere. "Raj, would you like to solve this equation for the class?" she asked, gesturing to the board. Raj, jerked to attention, quickly assessed the problem and answered, "X equals 12, Mrs. Sharma." She smiled. "Correct. But please stay present with us." "Sorry, Mrs. Sharma," he said, but as soon as she turned back to the board, his mind drifted again to the email and what it might mean. That evening, another email arrived from Amelia Rivera, confirming a video call for 7:00 a.m. the next day, which would be evening in California. Raj barely slept that night. He tossed and turned, imagining what Elon Musk might say about his invention. Would he offer suggestions for improvement? Would he think it was too simple? What if he asked technical questions Raj couldn't answer? By morning, Raj had dark circles under his eyes, but he was too excited to feel tired. He put on his best blue button-down shirt, the one reserved for special occasions, and combed his usually unruly black hair until it lay flat against his head. His mother eyed him as he picked at his breakfast. "Eat something, Raj. You need energy for school." "I'm too nervous," he admitted, pushing his plate away. "What if it's actually him?" he asked quietly. "What if Elon Musk really wants to talk to me?" His father lowered his newspaper. "Then you'll talk to him. You'll be polite, answer his questions, and thank him for his time. He's just a person, Raj. A very successful person, but still just a person." But to Raj, Elon Musk wasn't just a person. He was the man who built electric cars and rockets, who wanted to send people to Mars and connect brains to computers. He was the closest thing to a real-life Tony Stark. The school day crawled by slower than ever. When the final bell rang, Raj raced home, arriving out of breath and sweaty despite the cool air conditioning in their apartment. "I need to prepare," he announced, rushing to his room. He spent the next hour reviewing his notes on the water filter, design, practicing answers to potential questions, and making sure his computer was working properly. At 6:55 a.m., Raj sat at his desk, his parents standing behind him. The video call program was open, waiting for the scheduled meeting to begin. "Remember to speak clearly and look at the camera," his mother advised, adjusting his collar. "And don't be afraid to say, 'I don't know,' if he asks something you're not sure about," his father added. Raj nodded, his mouth too dry for words. The minutes ticked by agonizingly slowly. At exactly 7:20 a.m., the call notification appeared on his screen. With a deep breath, Raj clicked "Accept." The screen remained black for a moment, the longest moment of Raj's young life, before flickering to life. And there, looking directly at him with a slight smile, was the unmistakable face of Elon Musk. "Hello, Raj," said Elon Musk, his voice casual but clear through the computer speakers. "Thanks for making time to talk." Raj opened his mouth, but no sound came out. He felt his father's hand squeeze his shoulder gently. "Hello, Mr. Musk," Raj finally managed. "Thank you for contacting me." Elon smiled wider. "Please, call me Elon." "And you must be Raj's parents?" He nodded toward the two adults standing behind the boy. "Yes, I'm Vikram Patel," Raj's father said, leaning slightly into the camera's view. "And this is my wife, Priya. We're quite surprised by your interest in our son's project." "I bet," Elon chuckled. "But you shouldn't be. What Raj created is exactly the kind of thinking we need more of." On the screen, Elon adjusted his position, and Raj noticed he was sitting in what looked like a simple office with a few space-themed posters on the wall behind him. "So, Raj," Elon continued, "tell me more about how you came up with your water filter design. Your video explained the how, but I'm curious about the why." Raj's nervousness began to fade as he talked about his invention. "Well, my grandmother lives in a small village outside Bangalore. When we visit her, I noticed many people there don't have clean water. Some have to walk miles every day to get it. I wanted to help." Elon nodded thoughtfully. "That's a practical problem with real impact. How long did it take you to build the first working prototype?" "About 3 months," Raj replied, gaining confidence. "The hardest part was finding the right balance of filtering materials and making sure the solar component was efficient enough." "And you did all this as a school project?" "Yes, sir. I mean, Elon. My science teacher, Mrs. Sharma, she helped me with some of the research, but the design was my idea." Elon leaned forward, his expression serious. "That's impressive, Raj. Really impressive. What if I told you we've been working on a similar concept at Tesla, but your approach is more elegant than what our engineers came up with?" Raj blinked in disbelief. "But your engineers are professionals. They have degrees and years of experience." "And sometimes that's the problem," Elon replied. "Experience can make you overthink. You found a simple solution because you weren't limited by convention." Raj's mother stepped forward. "Mr. Musk, Elon, may I ask why you wanted to speak with Raj? It's very kind of you, but..." "It's a fair question," Elon nodded. "I'm not just here to compliment your son, though he deserves the praise. I have a proposition." The word hung in the air for a moment before Elon continued. "Tesla is starting a new program called NextGen Innovators. We're identifying young people with exceptional talents and giving them resources to develop their ideas. Raj would be our first participant." Raj felt like his heart might burst through his chest. "What would that mean exactly?" he asked. "It means we'd like to invite you to work with our engineering team in Austin, Texas. You'd have access to our labs, materials, and mentors. We'd help you refine your water filter design and potentially develop it for real-world applications." Raj's father frowned. "Are you offering my son a job? He's only 10 years old." "Not a job," Elon clarified. "Think of it more as an advanced educational opportunity. Raj would still continue his regular studies, but he'd also spend time in our innovation lab, working on his projects with guidance from our team." "And this would be in Texas?" Raj's mother asked, concern evident in her voice. "We live in Bangalore. We have jobs. Raj has school." Elon held up his hand. "I understand it's a big ask. We would provide housing for your family near our facility. As for jobs and schooling, we can discuss options. Remote work is increasingly common, and there are excellent schools in Austin. But nothing needs to be decided today." He looked directly at Raj. "What do you think about all this? It's your invention and your future we're talking about." Raj glanced up at his parents, then back at the screen. "It sounds amazing, but scary, too. Would I still get to be a normal kid?" Elon's expression softened. "That's important, and it's a great question. Yes, you would. The program would take maybe 15 hours of your week. The rest of the time would be yours for school, friends, and just being 10. We don't want to burn out our brightest minds." "How long would this program last?" Raj's father asked. "Initially, we're thinking 6 months to a year. After that, we can reevaluate based on how things are going." Raj's mind was racing with possibilities, working in a real lab with real engineers on something that could help people like those in his grandmother's village. It seemed impossible, like something from a movie. "Why me?" Raj asked suddenly. "There must be lots of smart kids making things." Elon smiled. "There are. But your project combined several things we value at Tesla: sustainability, simplicity, and real-world impact. Plus, the way you explained your process in the video showed clarity of thought beyond your years." He paused, then added, "Also, I like that you built it from recycled materials. That shows resourcefulness and environmental awareness." Raj's mother spoke up again. "This is overwhelming. We would need time to discuss this as a family." "Of course," Elon nodded. "I don't expect an answer now. Take 2 weeks to think it over. My assistant Amelia will send you more detailed information about the program, housing arrangements, and other logistics." "Mr. Musk," Raj's father said, "while we appreciate this incredible opportunity, I have to ask, what does Tesla gain from this program?" "Another excellent question," Elon replied, looking impressed. "First, fresh perspectives. Children like Raj often see solutions adults miss. Second, talent development. The innovators we nurture now could become leading engineers in the future. And third, some of these projects, like Raj's water filter, align with Tesla's mission of accelerating sustainable technology." He looked at Raj again. "We're not just a car company, you know. We're working to solve some of the world's biggest problems: energy, water, climate. Your filter could be part of that work." Raj felt a surge of purpose and excitement. "So my invention might actually help people? For real?" "That's the goal," Elon confirmed. "With refinement and scaling, technology like yours could bring clean water to communities around the world." For the next few minutes, they discussed more practical matters: the specifics of the program, living arrangements in Austin, and what Raj might expect day to day. Elon answered each question patiently. "We have a dedicated mentor lined up for you," he explained. "Sarah Chen. one of our best environmental engineers. She's excited to work with you." As the conversation wound down, Elon looked at his watch. "I have to join another meeting soon, but it was great talking with all of you. Do you have any final questions?" Raj hesitated, then gathered his courage. "Just one. If we do this, will I get to meet you in person?" Elon laughed. "Absolutely! I visit the Austin facility regularly. We'll definitely meet face to face." After saying their goodbyes, the call ended, and the screen went dark. The Patel family sat in stunned silence for several moments. "Did that really just happen?" Raj whispered. His father shook his head in amazement. "It appears so." "Moving to America," his mother murmured. "Leaving our home, our jobs, our family." "But Mom," Raj said, turning to her with shining eyes, "think about what this could mean. My invention could help people. Real people." His father placed a hand on Raj's shoulder. "This is a big decision, Beta. We need to think carefully." "I know," Raj nodded. "But whatever we decide, isn't it amazing that Elon Musk, the Elon Musk, saw my video and liked my invention?" His mother smiled and pulled him into a hug. "Yes, it is amazing, and so are you." That night, long after his parents thought he was asleep, Raj lay awake in his bed, staring at the ceiling where he had stuck glow-in-the-dark stars in patterns of real constellations. His mind buzzed with thoughts of Texas, of working in a real laboratory, of the possibility that his simple water filter might someday help people around the world. He thought of his grandmother's village, where children his age walked miles every day just to collect water that wasn't even completely clean. He thought of the statistics his teacher had shared. Millions of people without access to safe drinking water. Could his invention really make a difference? And was he brave enough to leave behind everything familiar to find out? As sleep, finally, began to claim him, one thought remained clear in his mind. His life had changed today. Whatever his parents decided, whatever choice they made as a family, nothing would ever be quite the same again. The universe of possibility had suddenly expanded, like the glowing stars on his ceiling stretching out to infinity. The next morning, Raj woke to the sound of his parents talking in hushed tones in the kitchen. He tiptoed to his bedroom door and listened. "A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity," his father was saying. "But our whole life is here, Vikram," his mother replied. "My teaching position at the university, your job at the tech company. And what about Raj's education? His friends? Priya, think about what this could mean for Raj's future. Working with actual Tesla engineers, developing his invention." Raj pushed the door open and walked into the kitchen. His parents stopped talking immediately. "I know you're discussing the Tesla offer," Raj said, sitting down at the table. "I want to be part of the conversation. It's about my life, too." His parents exchanged a look of surprise, then his father nodded. "You're right, Beta. This decision affects you most of all." For the next hour, they made a list of pros and cons on a sheet of paper. The pro column included words like opportunity, education, experience, and impact. The con column had leaving home, culture shock, uncertainty, and risk. "What about Mrs. Sharma?" Raj asked suddenly. "She helped me with my project. I should talk to her about this." Later that day, after school, Raj stayed behind to speak with his science teacher. Mrs. Sharma listened with widening eyes as Raj explained Elon Musk's offer. "My goodness," she said when he finished. "This is extraordinary, Raj." "What do you think I should do?" he asked. Mrs. Sharma adjusted her glasses thoughtfully. "I cannot make that decision for you, but I can say this. Great discoveries often require great courage. Sometimes we must step outside what is comfortable to find what is possible. As they walked together toward the school gate, Mrs. Sharma added, "If you do go, perhaps we could arrange for you to continue some of your studies remotely." I would be happy to help coordinate with your teachers here." For the first time, Raj began to see how it might actually work. Not as an ending of his life in Bangalore, but as an extension of it. That evening, his cousin Ananya came over for dinner. At 15, she seemed impossibly grown up to Raj, already planning for university. "America!" she exclaimed when she heard the news. "Raj, you have to go. Do you know how many Indian students dream of studying in America someday? And you'd be working with Elon Musk." "But I'd miss you," Raj said quietly. "And Nani's cooking, and cricket matches with friends, and—" Ananya put her arm around his shoulders. "We'd miss you too. But think about it. You'd be like a space explorer, venturing to a new world, and you'd come back with amazing stories." The next day, Raj's father came home with news. "I spoke with my manager today," he said during dinner. "There's a possibility I could work remotely for the company, at least part-time." Raj's mother looked up from her plate. "Really?" "Yes. It wouldn't be my current role, but they value me enough to try making it work. I'd need to travel back to Bangalore every few months, but it's doable." His mother was quiet for a long moment. "I've been thinking too," she finally said. "The university might allow me to take a sabbatical. Or perhaps there are teaching opportunities in Austin." Raj felt a flutter of excitement. Were they actually considering it? Over the weekend, a detailed email arrived from Amelia Rivera. It included information about the apartment Tesla would provide, a modern 3-bedroom unit in a complex with a pool, located just 15 minutes from the Tesla facility. There were photos of nearby schools, parks, and shopping centers. The email also outlined the NextGen Innovators program schedule. Raj would spend 3 hours each weekday at the Tesla lab, with additional time for special projects as needed. "Look at this," his father said, pointing to a section of the email. They would provide cultural orientation sessions for the family, help with paperwork for temporary residency, and even language support if needed. "Our English is perfectly fine," his mother said, sounding slightly offended. "It's not about language skills, Priya. It's about understanding American customs, systems, schooling. They're trying to make the transition easier." On Monday, Raj's father took a day off work, and they visited his grandmother in her village. As they sat on her porch drinking chai, Raj explained the opportunity to his Nani. "America," she repeated, her wrinkled face serious. Then suddenly, she smiled. "My grandson, invited by a famous man to solve problems. Your grandfather would have been so proud." She took Raj's hand in her weathered one. "When I was a girl, this village had no electricity, no telephones. The world felt very big and far away. Now my grandson might go to America to build a machine that cleans water." She shook her head in wonder. "You must go, Raj. See the world that I never could." That night, lying in bed in his grandmother's small house, listening to the distant barking of village dogs, Raj felt a new kind of peace settling over him. If they went to America, he would miss this place terribly. The familiar sounds and smells of India, the vibrant colors of festivals, the comfort of being surrounded by people who looked and spoke like him, but he would carry these things in his heart. And perhaps, just perhaps, his invention might someday help places like his grandmother's village. On Wednesday morning, Raj's principal, Mr. Chowdhury, called them into his office after Raj's parents explained the situation. "This is most unusual," the principal said, adjusting his spectacles. "However, Raj is an exceptional student. If you decide to accept this opportunity, we will work with you to ensure his education continues." He outlined a plan where Raj would complete assignments remotely, with regular video check-ins with his teachers. We would require him to return for final examinations, of course, but given the educational value of this experience, we can be flexible. As they left the school, Raj noticed his mother was unusually quiet. "Mom, are you okay?" he asked as they walked home. She gave him a small smile. "I was just thinking about my own childhood. My father, your Nana, always encouraged me to study, even when others said girls didn't need education. He would have told me to let you fly, to see how high you can soar." Her eyes glistened with tears. It's hard for a mother to think of her child so far away. But sometimes, love means opening the cage door. That night, the family sat together at their dining table for the most important discussion yet. "I think we've all been thinking about this decision separately," Raj's father said. "Now it's time to talk as a family. Raj, you go first. What do you truly want?" Raj took a deep breath. "I'm scared," he admitted. "America is so far. Everything will be different. But I really want to try. I want to see if my invention can actually help people. And working with real scientists in a real lab." His eyes shone with excitement. "That's like a dream." His mother reached across the table and took his hand. "If we do this, we do it together. As a family. No matter what happens in Texas, we have each other." His father nodded. "Then, it's decided?" "It's decided," his mother said. Raj felt a strange mix of terror and joy bubbling up inside him. They were going to America. He was going to work with Elon Musk and Tesla engineers. His simple water filter might change lives. "When do we tell them yes?" he asked. His father smiled. "First thing tomorrow morning." Later, as Raj packed his school bag for the next day, he noticed the small medal he'd won for his science project. Just 2 months ago, standing on the school stage receiving that award had felt like the biggest moment of his life. Now, it was just the beginning. A first step on a journey he couldn't yet imagine. He carefully placed the medal in his desk drawer, a reminder of where this all started. Whatever happened next, however the story unfolded, he would remember this moment, the night his family decided to leap into the unknown together. The airplane began its descent toward Austin, Texas, and Raj pressed his face against the small window. After nearly 20 hours of travel, including a layover in London, they were finally arriving at their destination. Below, he could see the sprawling city with its skyscrapers, winding rivers, and long highways filled with cars that looked like tiny ants from this height. "It's so spread out," Raj commented, still peering through the window. "Not like Bangalore." His mother leaned over to look. "Very different," she agreed. "American cities are built for cars, not for people walking." In the 3 weeks since they'd accepted Elon's offer, life had become a whirlwind of preparations. Visas had been expedited through Tesla's connections. Their apartment in Bangalore was now being looked after by Raj's uncle. Most of their belongings were in storage, with only 8 suitcases accompanying them to their new temporary home. As the plane touched down with a gentle bump, Raj felt butterflies in his stomach. This was really happening. "Remember," his father said as they stood to retrieve their carry-on bags, "this is an adventure. We will face challenges, but we will face them together." The airport was enormous and bewildering. Signs in English pointed in all directions, and announcements echoed overhead. After collecting their luggage, they followed the crowd toward the exit. A tall woman with short black hair and glasses held a sign that read, "Patel Family." When she spotted them, she smiled and waved. "You must be Raj," she said, bending slightly to meet his eyes. "I'm Sarah Chen, your mentor at Tesla. Welcome to Texas." "Hello," Raj said shyly. Immediately recognizing her name from his conversation with Elon, Sarah shook hands with his parents. "It's wonderful to meet you all. I have a car waiting outside to take you to your apartment. You must be exhausted after such a long flight." The drive from the airport was Raj's first glimpse of his new home. Austin was nothing like Bangalore. The roads were wider, the buildings more spread out. There were fewer people on the streets, and those he did see were driving rather than walking. The trees and plants looked different too, less tropical, more rugged. "That's the Colorado River," Sarah explained, pointing to a body of water as they crossed a bridge. Though here in Austin, everyone calls it Lady Bird Lake. "It's beautiful," Raj's mother said politely, though Raj could tell she was too tired to truly appreciate the sights. Their apartment was in a modern complex with a swimming pool and a small park. Inside, they found a spacious 3-bedroom unit with large windows and new furniture. On the kitchen counter sat a basket filled with snacks, fruits, and a note welcoming them to Austin. "Tesla has stocked your refrigerator with basics," Sarah explained. "And here's a folder with information about the neighborhood. Grocery stores, restaurants, medical facilities, and so on." She handed Raj's father a set of keys and a phone. "This is a local cell phone with all the contacts you might need programmed in, including mine. Please call anytime if you have questions or concerns." After Sarah left, promising to pick up Raj the next morning at 9 a.m., the family explored their new home. The furniture was plain but comfortable. The kitchen gleamed with appliances they'd never used before. Each bedroom had a desk and a bed with crisp white sheets. "It's very American," his mother said, opening and closing cupboards in the kitchen. Raj went to the window of what would be his bedroom and looked out at the unfamiliar landscape. Texas seemed so different. The air drier, the colors more muted than the vibrant hues of India. A wave of homesickness washed over him. "I miss our apartment already," he admitted when his father came to stand beside him. "It's natural," his father said, placing a hand on Raj's shoulder. "But give this place a chance to become familiar. In time, it may feel like home too." That evening, they ate a simple dinner from the foods in the welcome basket and went to bed early, their bodies still on Indian time. Despite his exhaustion, Raj had trouble falling asleep in the strange room with its unfamiliar sounds. The hum of an air conditioner he'd never had in Bangalore, the occasional car passing on the street below, the distant bark of a dog that didn't sound like the street dogs back home. Morning came with bright sunshine streaming through blinds that Raj hadn't quite figured out how to close properly. After a quick breakfast, he put on the clothes his mother had laid out. New jeans and a button-down shirt they'd bought specially for this day. At precisely 9 a.m., the doorbell rang. Sarah had arrived to take Raj to the Tesla facility. "Ready for your first day?" she asked with an encouraging smile. "I think so," Raj answered, trying to sound more confident than he felt. His parents hugged him tightly before he left, his mother whispering, "Remember who you are, beta. You belong in that lab as much as anyone." The Tesla facility was about 15 minutes from their apartment, a sprawling complex of modern buildings with sleek glass facades. As they approached the entrance, Raj saw the familiar Tesla logo gleaming in the morning sun. "This is our innovation center," Sarah explained as they walked through automatic doors into a bright lobby. "It's where we develop and test new technologies that aren't necessarily related to our vehicles." She led him through a security checkpoint where he received a special badge with his photo, taken on the spot, and the title NextGen Innovator. "That badge gives you access to the youth lab and common areas," Sarah explained. "For security reasons, there are some areas of the facility you won't be able to enter." They took an elevator to the third floor and walked down a corridor with glass walls that revealed glimpses of busy laboratories and workspaces. People in casual clothes sat at computers or huddled around whiteboards covered in equations and diagrams. "Here we are," Sarah said, stopping at a door marked NextGen Lab. The room beyond was unlike any classroom or lab Raj had ever seen. One wall was entirely glass, overlooking the Texas landscape. Another was covered in whiteboards and digital screens. The center of the room contained several workstations with computers, 3D printers, and various tools and materials. "This space is dedicated to the NextGen program," Sarah explained. "For now, you're our only participant, so you'll have plenty of room to work. Eventually, we hope to have up to 10 young innovators here at once." Raj walked around the room, taking it all in. "It's amazing," he whispered. "And this," Sarah said, leading him to a specific workstation, "is your area." The desk had a powerful computer, a digital tablet for drawing, and various tools neatly arranged. On the wall above it hung a small sign that read, "Raj Patel, Water Filtration Innovation." "We've also set up a testing station for your water filter," Sarah continued, showing him an area with sinks, pumps, and measuring equipment. "You'll be able to build prototypes and test them right here." Raj ran his fingers along the smooth surface of the desk, hardly believing this space was for him. "When do I start?" Sarah checked her watch. "Right now, actually. But first, there's someone else who wants to say hello." The door opened, and Elon Musk walked in. In person, he seemed both more ordinary and more imposing than he had on the video call. He wore a simple black t-shirt and jeans, his hair slightly messy as if he'd been running his hands through it. "Welcome to Tesla, Raj," he said, extending his hand. "How was your flight?" "Very long," Raj answered honestly, shaking Elon's hand. "But exciting, too," Elon laughed. "I bet. Moving to a new country is a big step. How's the apartment?" "It's nice. Different from our home in Bangalore, but nice." "Good, good." Elon walked around the lab, gesturing as he spoke. "This space is designed to encourage creativity and experimentation. We want you to feel free to try new things, even if they don't always work out. Failure is how we learn." He stopped and turned to face Raj. "I have to head to a meeting, but I wanted to welcome you personally. Sarah will get you settled in and explain how everything works. I'm looking forward to seeing what you create here." With that, he was gone, leaving Raj standing in the middle of a state-of-the-art laboratory that was now his workspace. "He's always moving that quickly," Sarah commented with a smile. "You'll get used to it. Now, let's go over your schedule and what we'll be working on first." For the next 2 hours, Sarah explained the lab equipment, safety procedures, and the goals for Raj's first week. They would start by rebuilding his original water filter design using the higher quality materials available at Tesla, then run tests to establish baseline performance metrics. "After lunch, you'll meet some of the engineers who'll be supporting your project," Sarah said. "They're excited to work with you." Raj nodded, trying to absorb all the information. It was overwhelming, but exciting too. This wasn't a school project anymore. This was real engineering, with real potential impact. As Sarah showed him how to use the advanced water testing equipment, Raj caught a glimpse of his reflection in one of the glass walls. For a moment, he hardly recognized himself. The small, Indian boy standing in this futuristic lab in Texas, wearing a Tesla badge, about to work on a project that mattered. He thought of his grandmother's village, of the children who walked miles for clean water. He thought of his simple science project that had somehow led him here. And for the first time since arriving in this strange new country, Raj felt a sense of belonging. Not because the place was familiar, it wasn't, but because his purpose was clear. He was here to solve a problem. And with these resources, these mentors, perhaps he really could. The secret to engineering is not just building things that work, Sarah told Raj as they examined his water filter design spread out on the workbench. It's building things that work better every time. It was Raj's third day at the Tesla lab, and already his original design seemed childishly simple compared to what he was learning. The plastic bottles and charcoal from his school project had been replaced with high-grade materials, specialized membranes, efficient solar cells, and precision-cut components. Today, we're going to test your filter against industry standards, Sarah explained, setting up an array of water samples. These contain different contaminants at different levels. Let's see how your design performs. Raj felt a flutter of nervousness. In Bangalore, his teacher and classmates had praised his invention. But here, in this professional lab, surrounded by actual engineers, would it measure up? The first test went well. His filter easily removed visible particles from muddy water. The second test, capturing bacteria, also showed promising results. But when they tested for chemical contaminants like lead and arsenic, the results were disappointing. Only 37% removal rate, Sarah noted, reading the digital display. For real-world application, we'd need at least 95%. Raj's heart sank. So, it doesn't work? It works, Sarah corrected him. It just doesn't work well enough yet. That's why you're here, to make it better. Over lunch in the Tesla cafeteria, Sarah introduced Raj to two other engineers who would be supporting his project. Diego, a water systems specialist with a quick smile and boundless energy, and Prisha, a materials scientist whose parents had also immigrated from India. "Your basic concept is solid," Diego assured him, gesturing with his fork. "The multi-layer filtration approach is exactly right. We just need to optimize the materials and the flow design. And the solar component is clever," Prisha added. Using solar energy to power a small pump rather than relying on gravity makes it much more efficient. Raj felt a little better as they discussed possible improvements. These weren't just adults being nice to a child, they were engineers talking to another engineer, just a much younger one. For the next week, Raj worked on improving his design. Each morning, Sarah picked him up from the apartment, where his parents were also settling into new routines. His father had set up a workstation in the second bedroom and was beginning remote work for his company in India. His mother was researching, teaching opportunities and exploring their new neighborhood. In the lab, Raj learned to use computer modeling software to simulate different filter configurations before building them. He discovered materials he'd never heard of: advanced carbon nanotubes, ceramic composites, ion exchange resins. "This is amazing," he told Sarah as they tested a new membrane. "In my school, we didn't have any of these tools. That's why programs like NextGen are important," she replied. "Talent is everywhere, but opportunity isn't." By the end of his second week, Raj had created a new prototype that showed much better results for chemical filtration, now removing 82% of contaminants. But it still wasn't enough. "I don't understand," Raj said, frustration creeping into his voice as they reviewed the latest test results. "We've tried 5 different filter materials. Why isn't it working better?" "Welcome to real engineering," Diego said with a sympathetic smile. "Theoretical designs almost never work perfectly the first time, or the 5th time. It's all about persistence." That weekend, Raj was quieter than usual. His parents had planned a trip to explore downtown Austin, visiting the Texas state capitol and taking a boat tour on Lady Bird Lake. Normally, Raj would have been bubbling with questions and observations, but today he seemed distracted. "Is everything okay at the lab?" his mother asked as they walked along the shoreline. Raj kicked at a small stone. My filter isn't good enough. We've tried lots of things, but it still doesn't clean the water well enough. His father put a hand on his shoulder. That's how discovery works, Beta. Thomas Edison tried thousands of materials before finding the right filament for his light bulb. But I don't have thousands of tries, Raj replied. What if I can't solve it? What if Elon Musk regrets bringing me here? That night, Raj had trouble sleeping. What if he wasn't as smart as everyone thought? What if his invention had just been lucky? Not brilliant? On Monday morning, he returned to the lab with determination masking his doubts. Sarah had set up a new testing station with equipment he hadn't seen before. Today, we're going to try something different, she announced. Instead of just measuring what comes out of your filter, we're going to observe what happens inside it. The new equipment included a transparent housing for the filter and high-speed cameras that could capture the flow of water through each layer. As they watched the footage on a large screen, Raj noticed something odd. The water is moving too, fast through the middle section, he observed. It's not having enough contact time with the filtering material. Exactly, Sarah nodded. That's the insight we needed. The design has a flow problem, not just a materials problem. For the next 3 days, Raj redesigned the internal chambers of his filter, creating a winding path that forced water to spend more time in contact with the filtering materials. The new design was more complex, but solved a fundamental issue. Thursday's tests showed dramatic improvement, now removing 91% of chemical contaminants. We're getting closer, Sarah said encouragingly. Just a little more refinement. But Friday's test was a disaster. The improved design had an unexpected flaw. The complex pathway created pressure points that caused leaks. Water sprayed across the lab, soaking Raj's notes and shorting out a nearby computer. I'm sorry, Raj gasped, frantically trying to mop up the mess with paper towels. I didn't think it would... Whoa, take a breath, Sarah interrupted, already cleaning up efficiently. Lab accidents happen all the time. It's part of the process. But Raj was devastated. He'd been so sure the new design would work. Now they'd lost progress, damaged equipment, and he felt like he was failing. When Sarah dropped him off at the apartment that evening, she seemed to sense his despair. Raj, she said before he got out of the car, do you know what happened the AOFI? First time Elon tested a SpaceX rocket? Raj shook his head. It exploded, completely failed. And the second and third tries? Also failures. But he kept going because that's what innovators do. Over the weekend, Raj couldn't stop thinking about the filter problem. He declined his parents' invitation to visit a museum, instead sitting by the apartment complex's pool with a notebook, sketching ideas. On Sunday afternoon, as he watched children playing in the shallow end of the pool, something clicked in his mind. The problem wasn't just flow speed, it was flow consistency. His design needed to ensure every drop of water received the same treatment. Monday morning couldn't come fast enough. When he arrived at the lab, he immediately shared his new insight with Sarah. I need to redesign the entire internal structure, he explained excitedly. Instead of trying to force the water through a specific path, we need to create a matrix that treats all water equally, no matter which path it takes. Sarah looked intrigued. That's a sophisticated concept. Let's model it. They spent the day creating a computer simulation of Raj's new design, a honeycomb-like structure of filtering material that ensured consistent treatment, regardless of how water flowed through it. The first physical prototype took 3 days to build. When it was finally ready for testing, Raj held his breath as Sarah started the equipment. This time, the filter processed the contaminated water smoothly, without leaks. The testing equipment analyzed the output, and the numbers appeared on screen. 97% removal of chemical contaminants. "We did it!" Raj exclaimed, jumping up and down. "It works!" "You did it," Sarah corrected with a proud smile. "This was your breakthrough." At that moment, the lab door opened and Elon Musk walked in. He'd been traveling for the past week and had just returned to Austin. "How's our young innovator doing?" he asked, approaching their workstation. "He just had a major breakthrough," Sarah replied. "The filter now exceeds industry standards for contaminant removal." Elon examined the prototype and the test results with keen interest. "Impressive. Walk me through how you solved it, Raj." As Raj explained his insight about flow consistency and the honeycomb matrix design, Elon nodded thoughtfully. "You know," he said when Raj finished, "we had a team of engineers working on a similar problem for a project in California. They were trying to force water through a specific pathway and running into the same issues you did. Sometimes the most elegant solutions come from seeing the problem differently." Raj couldn't believe it. "Your engineers had the same problem?" "Yes, and you may have just solved it for them," Elon replied with a slight smile. "That's why we created this program. Fresh perspectives are invaluable." As Elon left, promising to check in again soon, Raj felt a wave of relief and pride wash over him. He'd faced his first real engineering challenge and overcome it. That evening, when Sarah dropped him off, Raj couldn't wait to tell his parents about his breakthrough. He found them in the kitchen, preparing dinner together. "Mom, Dad, my filter works," he announced as he burst through the door. "It really works." His father gave him a hug. "We never doubted it would, Beta." Later, as Raj lay in bed, he thought about the roller coaster of emotions he'd experienced in the past few weeks. Excitement, doubt, frustration, and finally, triumph. Was this what being a real engineer felt like? If so, he was sure of one thing: he wanted more. Raj stood at the window of the NextGen lab, watching raindrops race down the glass. It had been raining in Austin all morning. Fat, heavy drops that created rivers along the sidewalks and filled the gutters with rushing water. "Penny, for your thoughts?" Sarah asked, joining him at the window. "I was just watching how the rain falls," Raj said. "See how it forms those little streams on the glass? And how some drops join together and move faster?" It had been 3 weeks since his honeycomb filter breakthrough. The team had been refining the design, making it stronger, more efficient, and, most challenging of all, able to work with minimal sunlight. This was the aspect that kept Raj up at night: how to make his solar-powered filter function effectively on cloudy days or in regions with limited sunshine. "Nature is often the best teacher," Sarah replied, observing the patterns on the window. "That's why biomimicry, copying designs from nature, is such a powerful approach in engineering." Raj nodded absently, his mind still focused on the raindrops. There was something about their movement that fascinated him. The way gravity pulled them down in patterns that seemed random but followed hidden rules. After lunch, the rain stopped, leaving the world outside looking washed clean. Sunlight broke through the clouds, striking puddles and wet surfaces, creating countless tiny rainbows. Raj returned to his workstation, where the latest prototype of his filter sat partially disassembled. He'd been trying different configurations of solar cells to capture more energy from limited light, but none of his solutions seemed elegant or practical enough. "Maybe we're approaching this wrong," he said to Prisha, who was helping him test solar cell efficiency. "We're trying to make The solar component works better in low light. But what if we focus on storing energy instead? Like a battery? Prisha asked. Yes, but that adds complexity and cost, Raj frowned. There must be a simpler way. As the afternoon wore on, Raj became increasingly frustrated. Every solution seemed to create new problems. Batteries needed replacing, more efficient solar. Cells were too expensive for a device meant to be affordable in developing regions, and mechanical energy storage systems were too bulky. At the end of the day, Sarah found him staring glumly at his disassembled prototype. "Time to call it a day," she said gently. "Sometimes the best thing is to step away and let your subconscious work on the problem." On the drive home, they passed a wooded area where sunlight filtered through the trees, creating dappled patterns on the ground. "Look at that," Sarah commented. "The forest canopy is nature's way of managing sunlight, filtering it, spreading it out." Raj watched the patterns of light and shadow moving across the forest floor. Something about it tugged at his mind, but he couldn't quite grasp what it was. That evening, Raj's parents noticed his preoccupation during dinner. "Still thinking about your filter?" his father asked. Raj nodded. "We solved one problem, but now we have another. The filter works great with good sunlight, but many places that need clean water don't have consistent sunshine." His mother reached over and served him more rice. "When I was growing up, my grandfather had a clever system for our garden. He collected rainwater in a series of barrels set at different heights. The water would flow naturally from one to another, watering different sections of the garden over several days. Using gravity as energy storage," Raj's father noted. "Exactly," his mother smiled. "Not very high-tech, but it worked beautifully." That night, Raj dreamed of raindrops, forest canopies, and cascading water. When he woke up, the first light of dawn was just beginning to illuminate his room. He sat up suddenly, his heart racing with excitement. "That's it," he whispered to himself. He grabbed his notebook and began sketching frantically. A new design, inspired by both forest canopies and cascading water systems. Instead of trying to make a solar cell work better in low light, his new approach would capture and maximize whatever light was available through a series of reflective surfaces arranged, like leaves in a forest canopy. When Sarah picked him up that morning, Raj could barely contain himself. "I think I've got it," he announced as soon as he climbed into her car. "A cascade system for both the water flow and the light capture." At the lab, Raj explained his concept to the team, his hands moving animatedly as he described his vision. The top layer would have multiple small reflective surfaces angled to capture and concentrate even diffuse sunlight. The water would flow through a cascade system with multiple small holding areas, each with its own mini-filter. "Like a series of tiny waterfalls," Diego nodded, understanding immediately. "Exactly," Raj confirmed. Each section would operate semi-independently, so even with minimal energy, some parts would still function. As more light becomes available, more sections activate. "It's a graceful degradation model," Prisha observed. "Instead of complete failure in low-light conditions, you get partial functionality." The team spent the day modeling Raj's idea, testing different materials and configurations in the computer simulation. By late afternoon, they had a digital model that showed promising results. "This could work," Sarah said, reviewing the simulation data. "Prisha functioning .0. The cascading design shows 74% efficiency, even with just 20% of optimal sunlight. That's remarkable." Building the physical prototype was more challenging. It took them 3 days to assemble the complex system of reflectors, mini-filters, and cascading water channels. When it was finally ready for testing, Even the usually calm Sarah seemed excited. "Let's start with the worst-case scenario," she suggested. "Minimal light conditions." They set up the artificial light source at its lowest setting, equivalent to heavy cloud cover, and started the water flow. Everyone held their breath as the liquid entered the system. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, water began to trickle through the cascade system. One by one, the mini-filters activated as the carefully designed reflectors gathered and concentrated the available light. Clean water began to collect in the output container. Not quickly, but steadily. "It's working," Diego whispered, as if speaking too loudly might break the spell. They gradually increased the light intensity, and as predicted, more sections of the filter activated, increasing the flow rate. By the time they reached normal daylight levels, the system was operating at peak efficiency. "This is ingenious," Prisha said, studying the cascade system. "It's both high-tech and low-tech at the same time. The reflector design is sophisticated, but the cascade principle is ancient." "The best solutions often combine both," Sarah agreed. "Raj, I think you've created something truly special here." Word of the breakthrough spread quickly through the Tesla facility. By the following morning, several senior engineers had stopped by the NextGen lab to see the cascade filter in action. Even more surprising, a video call was scheduled with Elon for that afternoon. "He's in Berlin this week," Sarah explained, "but he wanted to see your progress as soon as possible." During the video call, Raj demonstrated the cascade system, explaining how it was inspired by forest canopies and traditional water management systems. "The beauty of it is its adaptability," he concluded. "It works at different efficiency levels depending on available light, but it never completely stops working unless there's absolutely no light for days." On the screen, Elon nodded thoughtfully. "This is exactly the kind of thinking we need, combining bio-inspiration with practical engineering. The cascading approach solves multiple problems at once." He paused, then added, "I'd like to showcase this at our upcoming sustainability conference. How soon can we have a finalized version ready?" Sarah looked at Raj. "What do you think? 2 weeks to optimize and package it?" "I think we can do it," Raj agreed, feeling a surge of pride and excitement. After the call ended, Sarah turned to him with a wide smile. "Congratulations, Raj. This isn't just a school project anymore. This is a genuine innovation that could help people around the world." That evening, when Raj told his parents about the day's events, his father pulled out a bottle of mango juice he'd been saving for a special occasion. "A toast," he said, pouring 3 glasses. "To my son, the inventor." His mother raised her glass. "To clean water for those who need it most." As they clinked glasses together, Raj thought about how far he'd come from his school science project in Bangalore. The simple idea had grown and evolved, becoming something he could never have created alone, yet it still contained the essence of his original vision. Later, as his parents planned their weekend activities, Raj sat on the apartment balcony, watching the sunset paint the Texas sky in shades of orange and purple. He thought about forest canopies, raindrops on windows, and his grandmother's village. He thought about how ideas could flow like water, joining together, gaining strength, finding their own paths to become something powerful. Raj, his mother, called from inside. "Sarah is on the phone. She says Elon has another idea he wants to discuss with you tomorrow." Raj smiled. The journey wasn't over. In fact, it felt like it was just beginning. The next morning, Raj was surprised to find not just Sarah waiting to pick him up, but Elon Musk himself sitting in the driver's seat of a sleek blue Tesla. "Good morning, Raj," Elon called through the open window. "Hop in. I want to show you something," Raj looked uncertainly at his parents, who stood in the apartment doorway. "It's okay," Sarah assured them from the passenger seat. "We'll have him at the lab by noon. This is a field trip Elon wanted to take him on personally." After quick goodbyes, Raj climbed into the back seat, fastened his seatbelt, and tried to act normal, as if being driven around by one of the world's most famous innovators was an everyday occurrence. "So," Elon said, as they pulled away from the apartment complex, "Sarah tells me you're having some trouble balancing your Tesla work with your school assignments." Raj was surprised Elon knew about that. It was true. His Bangalore teachers had been sending increasingly challenging assignments, and he'd fallen behind on his math homework. "It's getting better," Raj said. "My parents help me study in the ETUE evenings. Education is important," Elon nodded. "But so is hands-on learning. Sometimes the best education happens outside the classroom." They drove for about 30 minutes, leaving the city behind. The landscape changed to rolling hills with scattered trees and occasional farmhouses. Finally, they turned onto a dirt road that led to a fenced compound with several large tanks and equipment. "What is this place?" Raj asked as they parked. "This," Elon said, turning to face him, "is a water treatment facility for the surrounding communities, one of several that Tesla has been quietly developing as test sites." Raj's eyes widened. "Tesla makes water treatment systems." "Not officially, not yet," Elon replied with a slight smile. "But clean water and sustainable energy are connected challenges. You can't solve one without addressing the other." As they walked through the facility, a technician named Marcus explained how they used a combination of filtration methods and solar power to purify water from local sources, some of which had been contaminated by agricultural runoff and industrial waste. "The system works," Marcus explained, "but it's expensive to build and maintain. That's the challenge, creating something effective that's also affordable and simple enough to operate in remote locations." Raj began to understand why his filter design had attracted so much attention. If it could be scaled up while remaining affordable, it could help solve exactly this problem. "There's something else I want you to see," Elon said after the tour. They returned to the car and drove another 15 minutes to a small rural community, where several houses had large tanks connected to what looked like modified versions of Raj's cascade filter system. "These are prototype installations," Sarah explained, "based partly on your original design, but scaled for household use." A woman came out of one of the houses and greeted them. She spoke with Elon and Sarah for a few minutes, then proudly showed Raj how the system provided her family with clean water. "Before this, we had to buy bottled water for drinking and cooking," she explained. "It was expensive and created so much plastic waste. Now we have clean water right at home." As they drove back toward Austin, Raj's mind was buzzing with questions. "I didn't know Tesla was working on water projects," he finally said. Elon glanced at him in the rearview mirror. "Most people don't. We haven't made any public announcements yet. But clean water is a growing crisis around the world, and it's only going to get worse with climate change." "Is that why you were interested in my science project? Because Tesla was already working on water filtration?" "Exactly," Elon confirmed. "When your video appeared in our research feed, we immediately saw the potential. Your approach was simpler and more elegant than what our teams had developed. But if Tesla already has these systems," Raj asked, "why do you need mine?" Sarah turned in her seat to face him. "The systems you saw today work, but they're too complex and expensive for widespread deployment, especially in developing regions. Your cascade design could change that equation." Back at the Tesla facility, they gathered in a conference room where several engineers and executives were waiting. On a large screen was a map of the world with colored regions indicating water, scarcity issues. Project Aquasol, Elon announced to the room, "Our initiative to develop affordable, sustainable water purification systems for global deployment." For the next hour, Raj listened in amazement as the team outlined Tesla's vision. For addressing water scarcity, the cascade filter he had designed wasn't just a clever invention, it was potentially a key component of something much bigger. The goal, said a woman introduced as Tesla's head of humanitarian projects, is to deploy 1 million household systems within 5 years, focusing first on regions with the most severe clean water shortages. 1 million systems. Raj tried to imagine how many people that would help. How many children wouldn't have to walk miles for water? How many families would be protected from waterborne diseases? Of course, Elon added, looking directly at Raj, "We're still facing a significant challenge. While your cascade system brilliantly addresses the low-light problem, we need to make it even more efficient for mass production." And there it was, Raj's next assignment. Not just a lab exercise, but a challenge with real-world consequences. As the meeting concluded, Raj felt both overwhelmed and energized. His simple science project had evolved into something he could never have imagined. That evening, during their video call with relatives in India, Raj struggled to explain his day without revealing details of Tesla's unannounced water project. "It's exciting," was all he could tell his curious grandmother. "I'm learning so much." After the call, his father noticed Raj's unusual quietness. "Is everything okay, beta? You seem preoccupied." Raj hesitated, then said, "Dad, did you know that hundreds of millions of people don't have clean water? That children get sick and even die because the water they drink isn't safe?" His father nodded solemnly. "Yes, it's a serious problem in many parts of the world, including some regions of India. And my filter, my invention, might actually help them. Not just as an idea, but as a real thing that Tesla might build and send to places that need it." His father put an arm around Raj's shoulders. "That's an incredible responsibility, but also an incredible opportunity. How does it make you feel?" "Scared," Raj admitted. "Excited. Worried I won't be good enough." "All normal feelings when you're doing something important," his father assured him. The next day, Raj arrived at the lab with renewed determination. Sarah had arranged for him to work with a manufacturing specialist to learn about mass production requirements, cost constraints, material availability, assembly processes. The best design in the world isn't helpful if it can't be built affordably and reliably, the specialist explained, showing Raj examples of how complex designs were simplified for production. As Raj reworked his cascade filter with these new constraints in mind, he found himself facing a classic engineering trade-off: simplicity versus performance. Each simplification to make the filter easier to manufacture seemed to reduce its effectiveness. By the end of the week, Raj was frustrated again. The manufacturing-friendly versions of his filter showed significantly lower efficiency in testing. "Don't get discouraged," Sarah told him during their Friday afternoon review. "This is normal in product development. We call it the optimization phase, but sometimes it feels more like the compromise phase." Over the weekend, Raj had his first video call with Miguel Rodriguez, a 12-year-old math prodigy from Mexico City, who would be joining the NextGen program the following month. Miguel had already seen videos of Raj's cascade filter and was full of questions and ideas. "What if you use a modular design?" Miguel suggested. "Simple, identical components that connect together. Each part would be easy to manufacture, but together, they would be powerful." The conversation with Miguel sparked new thoughts. On Monday morning, Raj arrived at the lab with a completely different approach. a modular cascade system where each component was identical and could be produced cheaply. But the way they connected together created the complex functionality needed. Like building blocks, he explained to Sarah. Each one simple, but together they make something sophisticated. For the next 2 weeks, Raj and the team refined this modular approach. Initial tests were promising. The new design maintained 85% of the performance while potentially reducing manufacturing costs by over 60%. This is the direction we need to go, Sarah confirmed. Great insight, Raj. As the weeks passed, Raj found himself increasingly torn between his work at Tesla and his schoolwork from Bangalore. His teachers were understanding but firm. He needed to keep up with his studies, especially in mathematics and science. One evening, as Raj struggled with a particularly difficult algebra assignment, his mother sat down beside him. "You know," she said gently, "it would be easier if you attended school here in Austin. Your father and I have been looking into options." Raj looked up in surprise. "But what about going back to Bangalore? I thought this was just for a year." His mother smiled. "Let's just say we're keeping our options open. This experience has been good for you, and for us too." The next day, Sarah introduced Raj to Amara Washington, a tall, confident 16-year-old who occasionally visited the Tesla facility as part of a STEM mentorship program for high school students. Amara specialized in robotics and had won several national competitions. "Amara might join the NextGen program part-time," Sarah explained. "She could help with the automated testing of your filter prototypes." Raj was immediately intimidated by Amara's credentials and confidence. She seemed to know everything about engineering and spoke in a precise, assured way that made Raj feel young and inexperienced. "Your cascade design is clever," she told him, after Sarah explained the project. "But have you considered how the final product will be maintained in the field? Who cleans it when it gets clogged? How often do parts need to be replaced?" Raj hadn't thought much about these practical aspects. "I guess it would depend on local conditions," he said uncertainly. "Exactly," Amara nodded. "The best solution would include a self-diagnostic system to alert users when maintenance is needed. I could help design that component." As they worked together over the following days, Raj discovered that despite her impressive knowledge, Amara struggled with reading. She often asked him to read technical documents aloud or summarize written materials. "I'm dyslexic," she explained matter-of-factly when she noticed his confusion. "My brain processes written language differently. I compensate in other ways." This revelation changed how Raj saw Amara. She wasn't perfect. She had challenges too. But rather than letting them stop her, she had found ways to work around them and excel in her areas of strength. Between his schoolwork, the filter project, and now collaborating with Amara, Raj's days were fuller than ever. But as busy as he was, he couldn't ignore the growing excitement around the Tesla facility about Project Aquasol. "We're moving into the final development phase," Sarah told him one morning. "Your modular cascade design has been approved for the pilot program. Once we finalize the specifications, we'll begin limited production for field testing." Raj could hardly believe it. His invention, born in a Bangalore classroom, was about to become a real product that could help people around the world. The simple idea had grown into something far bigger than he had ever imagined. And yet, as Sarah had hinted, there was still much more to come. "You can't just add water to the acid," Miguel exclaimed, grabbing Raj's wrist before he could pour the liquid. "That's how you get explosions. Always add acid to water, not the other way around." Raj blinked in surprise. It had been just 2 weeks since Miguel Rodriguez had arrived from Mexico City to join the NextGen program. But already he had saved Raj from several potential lab mishaps. Sorry, Raj said, carefully setting down the beaker. I wasn't thinking. Miguel grinned, his braces catching the fluorescent lab lights. It's okay. Chemistry isn't your thing. That's why we make a good team. You're great at design, and I'm good at not blowing things up. At 12, Miguel was 2 years older than Raj, with an extraordinary talent for mathematics and chemistry. Where Raj's strength was seeing creative solutions to practical problems, Miguel could calculate complex equations in his head and seemed to have memorized the entire periodic table. "Hey, nerds!" called a familiar voice from the doorway. "What dangerous thing are you cooking up today?" Amara Washington strode into the lab, her tall frame carrying an air of confidence that Raj still found intimidating, despite having worked with her for nearly a month. At 16, she seemed almost grown up compared to Raj and Miguel. "We're testing a new coating for the filter membrane," Raj explained. "It might extend the lifespan by preventing mineral buildup." "Smart," Amara nodded approvingly. "Maintenance is always the killer for systems deployed in remote areas." The three of them had formed an unlikely friendship over the past weeks, though they were each working on different projects at Tesla. Raj on his water filter, Miguel on energy storage, and Amara on robotics. They had fallen into the habit of helping each other with problems and eating lunch together in the Tesla cafeteria. "Are we still on for Saturday?" Miguel asked, as he carefully mixed the chemicals in the correct order. "If my parents say yes," Raj answered. "They want to meet your mom first." The plan was for Miguel and his mother, who had moved to Austin for the NextGen program, to take Raj to the Austin Science Museum. It would be Raj's first outing without his parents since arriving in America. "My mom already texted your mom," Miguel said. "They're meeting for coffee tomorrow." Raj smiled. His mother had been making efforts to connect with Miguel's mother, despite their language barrier. Mrs. Rodriguez spoke limited English, and Raj's mother knew only a few words of Spanish, but somehow they managed to communicate through a combination of translation apps and gestures. "What about you, Amara?" Raj asked. "Can you come to the museum too?" Amara shook her head. "Robotics competition this weekend, but maybe next time." After school and lab work, Raj's parents had been encouraging him to spend time with kids his own age. Although he was making friends at the local school, where he now attended mathematics and science classes 2 days a week, he felt most comfortable with Miguel and Amara, who understood the unique pressure of being young innovators at Tesla. That Saturday, after his mother had thoroughly questioned Mrs. Rodriguez about the museum's safety protocols and extracted a promise that they would call every hour, Raj was finally allowed to go. The Austin Science Museum was nothing like the small museum he'd visited in Bangalore. Spread across 3 floors, it featured interactive exhibits on everything from dinosaurs to space exploration. Raj and Miguel spent hours building structures in the engineering lab, experimenting with a tornado simulator, and marveling at the giant Tesla coil that shot lightning bolts at scheduled demonstrations. "This is amazing," Raj said, as they watched electricity arc through the air. "We don't have anything like this back home." "In Mexico City, we have good museums too," Miguel replied, "but nothing with this many hands-on activities." As they explored the museum, Raj noticed that Miguel seemed to know many scientific facts that weren't taught in school. When Raj commented on this, Miguel explained that his father had been a university professor before he passed away 3 years ago. "He used to take me to his laboratory on weekends," Miguel said, his voice growing quieter. "He taught me chemistry from the time I was 5. Everyone thought I was a genius, but really, I just had a head start because of him." "You are a genius," Raj insisted. "That's why you're in the NextGen program." Miguel shrugged. "Maybe, but I miss learning from my dad." That's why I want to work at places like Tesla, to be around scientists who can teach me, like he did. It was the first time either boy had shared something so personal, and it created a new bond between them. On the bus ride home, they talked more openly about their families and their fears about being at Tesla. Sometimes I worry they'll realize I'm not as smart as they think, Raj admitted. That my filter was just a lucky idea. Me too, Miguel nodded. I keep expecting someone to say, "Wait, you're just a kid. What are you doing here?" The following Monday, Amara joined them for lunch with exciting news. "I won first place at the robotics competition," she announced, showing them a blue ribbon. "And the judges said my navigation algorithm could have commercial applications." "That's awesome," Raj exclaimed. "What kind of applications?" "Assistive robots for people with disabilities," Amara explained. "My younger brother has cerebral palsy, so I designed a robot that can fetch things for him around the house." "Is that why you got interested in robotics?" Miguel asked. Amara nodded. "I wanted to build something to help him. The commercial stuff came later." Raj was beginning to see a pattern. Each of them had come to innovation through a personal connection. His grandmother's village needing clean water, Miguel's father teaching him science, Amara's brother needing assistance. Their inventions weren't abstract ideas. They were solutions to problems they cared deeply about. That afternoon, as Raj worked on testing the latest filter prototype, Sarah dropped by with news. "We've scheduled a weekend field trip to Lake Travis. Next month," she said. "You, Miguel, and Amara will join a team of Tesla engineers for some real-world testing of the Aquasol systems in a camping environment." "Camping?" Raj repeated, unsure if he'd heard correctly. "Yes, actual outdoor camping," Sarah smiled. "Tents, campfires, the works. It'll be a good way to test how user-friendly the systems are when used by non-engineers." Raj had never been camping in his life. In Bangalore, his family sometimes visited hill stations for vacation, but they always stayed in comfortable hotels or resorts. The idea of sleeping in a tent was both thrilling and slightly terrifying. "Don't worry," Sarah added, seeing his expression. "It's organized camping with proper facilities. And your parents are invited too, though they can choose to stay in cabins if tents aren't their thing." That evening, Raj was surprised to find his parents excited about the camping trip. His father had apparently gone camping during his college years and was eager to show Raj how to set up a tent and build a campfire. "It will be an authentic American experience," his mother agreed, though she quickly added, "But I think I'll take the cabin option." As the week progressed, Raj, Miguel, and Amara spent more time together, their projects increasingly overlapping. Miguel's work on energy storage had applications for Raj's filter, while Amara's expertise in automation could help with monitoring the systems once deployed. On Friday afternoon, as they were packing up their workstations, Amara made a suggestion. "We should explore Austin together sometime. Not just museums and stuff, but really see the city." "Like what?" Raj asked. "There's a cool food truck park near the river," she suggested. "And music in the parks on weekends. Austin calls itself the live music capital of the world." Miguel nodded enthusiastically. "And there's a bat colony under the Congress Avenue Bridge. Millions of bats fly out at sunset. It's incredible." "Bats?" Raj repeated uncertainly. In Indian folktales, bats were often portrayed as ominous creatures. "They're harmless," Amara assured him. "They eat mosquitoes, tons of them. It's actually a beautiful sight, all those bats flying out together." The thought of seeing millions of bats still made Raj nervous, but he found himself wanting to experience it anyway, especially with his new friends beside him. That night, during their weekly video call with relatives in India, Raj's cousin Ananya noticed a change in him. "You seem different," she observed. "More confident." Raj hadn't thought about it, but she was right. He was changing, becoming more outgoing, more willing to try new things. Just 6 weeks ago, the thought of camping or watching bat colonies would have terrified him. Now he was looking forward to these adventures. "I guess I am different," he admitted. "Being here is changing me." After the call, as Raj prepared for bed, he thought about his new friends. Miguel with his brilliant mind and quiet grief for his father. Amara with her confidence masking the reading struggles she worked so hard to overcome. They weren't perfect, and neither was he. But together, they were creating something special. Not just innovative technologies, but connections that made each of them stronger. Tomorrow, they would meet at the food truck park Amara had suggested, then go to see the bats at sunset. It would be Raj's first real social outing in America that wasn't related to school or Tesla. As he drifted off to sleep, Raj realized that for the first time since arriving in Texas, he wasn't homesick for Bangalore. Austin was beginning to feel like a place where he belonged. Raj stared at the headline on Sarah's tablet in disbelief. WaterTech announces revolutionary solar water purification system. The article was accompanied by photos of a sleek device that looked disturbingly similar to his cascade filter design. According to the report, WaterTech, a major competitor of Tesla in the emerging sustainable technology market, planned to launch their product within 6 months. "This can't be a coincidence," Raj said, looking up at Sarah. "Their design uses the same cascade principle as mine." It was Monday morning, and what should have been an exciting day after a weekend of exploring. Austin with his friends had suddenly turned tense. Sarah had called an emergency meeting as soon as Raj arrived at the lab. "We don't know for certain they copied your design," Sarah replied carefully. "Parallel innovation happens sometimes, different teams reaching similar solutions independently." But Raj could tell from her expression that she didn't really believe that. He scrolled through the article, noting the specific features that matched his own work. The modular components, the light-capturing reflectors, even the honeycomb filtration. "Matrix! How could they know about my design?" he asked, a sick feeling growing in his stomach. "It hasn't been published anywhere." "That's what we're trying to figure out," came a voice from the doorway. Elon Musk walked in, looking more serious than Raj had ever seen him. "Our security team is investigating the possibility of an information breach." Raj's mind raced. Had someone stolen his design? Had all his work been for nothing? "What does this mean for Project Aquasol?" he asked. Elon sat down across from Raj. "It means we need to accelerate our timeline. WaterTech is aiming to launch in 6 months. We need to be ready in 4. 4 months? Sarah's eyes widened. "That's ambitious, I know," Elon interrupted, "but necessary. This isn't just about market competition. It's about getting affordable clean water solutions to the people who need them most. If WaterTech beats us to market with an inferior or overpriced version of the technology, it could set back adoption in developing regions by years." Raj felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "What do you need me to do?" "Keep improving the design," Elon replied. "Focus on efficiency and cost reduction. Sarah will coordinate with the manufacturing team to begin scaling up production. We're going to need all hands on deck for this." After Elon left, Sarah explained the new accelerated schedule. The camping trip to Lake Travis would now double as an intensive field testing session. The engineering team would be expanded. Work days would be longer, including some weekends. "I know this is a lot of pressure," Sarah said, noticing Raj's worried expression. "Especially for someone your age. If it's too much..." "No," Raj interrupted. "I want to help. This matters too much." When Miguel and Amara arrived, they were quickly briefed on the situation. Miguel immediately volunteered to help optimize the filter's chemical components, while Amara offered to accelerate her work on the monitoring system. "Team Cascade," Miguel declared, putting his hand in the center of their huddle. "We're not letting some corporate copycats beat us." Raj and Amara placed their hands on top of his. "Team Cascade," they echoed, and Raj felt a spark of determination replace his earlier dismay. The next few weeks passed in a blur of activity. Raj's days grew longer, often starting with early morning design sessions and ending with late evening test runs. His parents expressed concern about the increased workload, but Raj insisted he could handle it. "This is important, Mom," he explained over dinner one night. "People are counting on us to finish this project." "Yes, but you're still a child," his mother replied. "You need time to rest, to play, to just be a boy." "I'm not just a boy," Raj countered, surprising himself with his vehemence. "I'm an engineer." "Working on something that matters," his father intervened gently. "You are both, and both parts of you need care." They reached a compromise. Raj could work the extended hours 4 days a week, but Friday afternoons and weekends would be protected time for schoolwork, rest, and fun with friends. At school, Raj found it increasingly difficult to focus on regular lessons. His mind was constantly working on filter improvements or manufacturing problems. His grades began to slip, particularly in subjects unrelated to his Tesla work. "Raj, is everything okay?" his math teacher asked after class one day. "You seem distracted lately." He couldn't explain about the competition with WaterTech or the accelerated timeline. The details of Project Aquasol were still confidential, so he simply nodded and promised to try harder. The pressure increased when a follow-up article revealed more about WaterTech's plans. They were apparently preparing for a major product announcement at the International Water Innovation Conference in Singapore, complete with demonstrations and distribution partnerships. "We need to be there too," Elon declared during a project update meeting, "with a working prototype that outperforms theirs." The conference was just 10 weeks away. To meet the deadline, the entire team would need to work at maximum capacity. Raj began having trouble sleeping. His mind wouldn't shut off, constantly churning through design problems and potential solutions. Some nights, he would wake up at 3 a.m. with an idea and immediately reach for the notebook he now kept beside his bed. His parents noticed the dark circles forming under his eyes, the way he picked at his food instead of eating properly, how he sometimes stared blankly into space during conversations. "This isn't healthy," his mother said one morning, finding him already awake and working on calculations before sunrise. "You're burning yourself out." "I'm fine," Raj insisted, even as he stifled a yawn. "There's just a lot to do." At the lab, Sarah also recognized the signs of burnout in Raj and the other young innovators. Miguel had developed a nervous habit of reciting chemical formulas under his breath, while Amara had become uncharacteristically short-tempered. "We need to talk," Sarah said, gathering the three of them in a quiet corner of the lab one afternoon. "You're all working too hard." "But the deadline," Raj began. "The deadline is important," Sarah acknowledged, "but not at the cost of your health. You're children, not machines." She implemented mandatory break periods and a strict no work after 7 p.m. rule for the NextGen participants. She also brought in a psychologist who specialized in gifted children to talk with them about stress management and work-life balance. 3. First, Raj resisted these changes. Every hour not working felt like falling behind, like letting down the team and all the people who would benefit from Project Aquasol. But gradually, he began to recognize that the breaks actually improved his thinking. Fresh ideas often came during moments of rest, not during grueling work sessions. The camping trip to Lake Travis finally arrived, now expanded to include a dozen engineers and several prototypes of the Aquasol system. Raj's father opted to join them in the tents, while his mother stayed in one of the lakeside cabins. Despite the serious purpose of testing the water filtration systems, there was still time. For traditional camping activities, Raj learned to paddle a canoe, roast marshmallows over a campfire, and identify constellations in the clear Texas night sky. For a few precious hours each evening, he remembered what it was like to simply be a 10-year-old boy enjoying an adventure with friends and family. On the second day of camping, as they were setting up the latest filter prototype near the lake, Raj noticed his father in deep conversation with Elon. They seemed to be discussing something serious, occasionally glancing in his direction. Later, when Raj asked about it, his father simply said they had been talking about balancing ambition with childhood. That night, Elon joined their campfire circle and surprised everyone by playing a ukulele he'd brought along. After a few songs, as the younger children were being sent to bed, he asked Raj to stay for a moment. "Your father made an important point today," Elon said once they were relatively alone. "He reminded me that while we're racing to meet this deadline, we shouldn't forget that you and the other NextGen participants are still kids." Raj started to protest, but Elon continued. "He's right, and so is Sarah. We're asking too much of you. But the project will continue," Elon assured him. "But we're adjusting expectations. Your filter design is already revolutionary. Even if WaterTech beats us to market, your innovation will make a difference." He looked directly at Raj. "From now on, no more than 4 hours of lab work per day for you. The rest of the time is for school, rest, and just being 10. That's not negotiable." Part of Raj wanted to argue, to insist that he could handle the workload. But a larger part, the part that had been fighting exhaustion for weeks, felt an enormous sense of relief. "Okay," he nodded. 4 hours. The remainder of the camping trip was more balanced, with mornings dedicated to testing the Aquasol systems and afternoons for swimming, hiking, and other recreational activities. Raj found his enthusiasm for the project returning as his stress levels decreased. On their final night at Lake Travis, as the group gathered for one last campfire, Sarah made an announcement. "I have news from Tesla headquarters," she said, her expression serious. "Our intelligence team has confirmed that WaterTech somehow obtained information about our filter design." A murmur ran through the group. "Was it stolen?" someone asked. "We don't believe so," Sarah replied. "They seem to have independently developed something similar, then adjusted their approach after learning about certain aspects of our design. It's not illegal, but it does mean the race is definitely on." Raj felt a renewed sense of determination, but it was different now. Steadier, more sustainable. He might only be working 4 hours a day on the project, but he would make those hours count. As the campfire burned low and stars filled the Texas sky, Raj realized that this competition, as stressful as it was, had taught him something important. Innovation wasn't just about brilliant ideas or relentless work. It was also about balance, health, and remembering why the work mattered in the first place. Raj spun the colorful kaleidoscope in his hands, watching as the glass beads inside formed beautiful, ever-changing patterns. It was a gift from Miguel, purchased at the Austin Science Museum gift shop during their visit weeks ago. Raj had placed it on his desk at the lab, but hadn't really taken time to play with it until today. "Taking a break?" Sarah asked, noticing him gazing into the toy. "Yes," Raj nodded. Miguel said it helps him think to look at patterns. It had been 2 weeks since the camping trip, and Raj was still adjusting to his new schedule. 4 focused hours in the lab each day, followed by schoolwork or free time. Surprisingly, the project hadn't suffered. If anything, his contributions had improved, becoming more thoughtful and creative. Today, Raj was tackling what seemed like an unsolvable problem: how to make the Aquasol system work efficiently in regions with extremely limited sunlight. Their current design could function with reduced sunlight, but places with long, dark winters or consistently cloudy weather would struggle to generate enough power. As he peered into the kaleidoscope again, something about the way light reflected and multiplied through the mirrors caught his attention. He twisted the tube, watching how even a small amount of light entering one end became magnified and redirected by the precisely arranged mirrors inside. "That's it," he whispered, suddenly sitting upright. "What's it?" Sarah asked, looking up from her computer. "Prisms!" Raj exclaimed. "We've been trying to capture more light, but what if we could amplify the light we do capture, like a kaleidoscope does?" He grabbed a blank sheet of paper and began sketching rapidly. "If we incorporate a prism array into the top layer of the PAI filter, angled precisely to maximize even minimal light, we could potentially double or triple the energy capture in low-light conditions." Sarah came over to look at his drawing. "That's actually brilliant, and surprisingly simple." "Simple is good," Raj grinned. "Simple means affordable, manufacturable, and easily maintained." They spent the rest of the afternoon modeling the prism concept, testing different configurations in the computer simulation. The initial results were promising: a theoretical 280% increase in energy capture under low-light conditions. The next day, Raj arrived eager to build a physical prototype incorporating his prism design. To his surprise, Elon was waiting in the RAO lab, examining his sketches. "Interesting approach," Elon said, looking up as Raj entered. "Using prism technology to amplify available light, rather than trying to capture more of it." "It was inspired by this," Raj explained, holding up the kaleidoscope. "The way it makes a little bit of light go a long way." Elon took the kaleidoscope, peered through it, and smiled. Sometimes the best solutions come from unexpected places. He handed it back to Raj. "Build a prototype. If it works as well in reality as it does in simulation, this could be the breakthrough we need." For the next week, Raj and the team worked on incorporating the prism array into the Aquasol system. There were challenges: finding the right materials, determining the optimal angles, ensuring the prisms wouldn't degrade under constant exposure to the elements. But each problem found a solution, often through collaborative thinking with Miguel and Amara. Miguel suggested a special coating for the prisms to prevent degradation, while Amara designed a simple mechanical system that would allow users to adjust the prism angles seasonally for optimal performance. "It's like we each have a piece of the puzzle," Raj observed during lunch one day. "When we put them together, we solve problems none of us could solve alone." By Friday, they had a working prototype ready for testing. The team gathered around as Sarah set up the light source at its lowest setting, replicating the conditions of a heavily overcast winter day in northern regions. "Ready?" she asked, her finger hovering over the switch. Raj nodded, holding his breath. The system hummed to life. Water began flowing through the filter, slowly at first, then with increasing speed as the prism array captured and amplified the minimal light. The output meter showed performance levels nearly 3 times better than their previous design under the same conditions. "It works!" Miguel exclaimed, high-fiving Raj. "Not just works," Sarah added, checking the readings. "It exceeds our predictions. This is a major breakthrough." Word of the successful test spread quickly through the Tesla facility. By Monday morning, Raj found himself presenting his prism design to a room full of senior engineers and executives. Despite his initial nervousness, he explained the concept clearly, answering technical questions with growing confidence. The beauty of this solution, he concluded, is that it's simple, cost-effective, and can be retrofitted to existing Aquasol units. We don't need to redesign the entire system. The executives were visibly impressed. One of them, the head of international operations, immediately began discussing potential applications in Scandinavian countries and regions of Russia, where winter daylight was severely limited. After the meeting, Elon pulled Raj aside. "That was excellently presented," he said. "You've just expanded the potential market for Aquasol by millions of users." Raj felt a warm glow of pride. His simple insight, inspired by a toy kaleidoscope, could help bring clean water to even more people around the world. That afternoon, Sarah had more news. The prism breakthrough has accelerated our timeline. We're now ahead of WaterTech in terms of technology, even if they launch first. "What does that mean for the Singapore conference?" Raj asked. "We'll still be there," Sarah replied, "but instead of racing to catch up, we'll be showcasing a superior product. And," she added with a smile, "you'll be coming with us to help demonstrate it." "Me?" Raj's eyes widened. "To Singapore?" "You're the inventor," Sarah reminded him. "Who better to explain how it works? Your parents would come too, of course." That evening, Raj could hardly contain his excitement as he told his parents about the Singapore trip. To his surprise, they already knew. Sarah had discussed it with them earlier. "We're very proud of you," his father said. "But remember, you'll still be representing Tesla as part of the NextGen program, not as an employee. School comes first, even in Singapore." "I know, Dad," Raj nodded. 4 hours of work per day, the rest for learning and exploring. His mother smiled. "Singapore is close to India. Perhaps we could visit your grandmother afterward. I'm sure she'd love to hear about your adventures in person." The thought of seeing his grandmother again, of showing her what her village had inspired, filled Raj with joy. This journey that had begun with a simple school project was now coming full circle. The weeks leading up to the Singapore conference were busy but balanced. Raj worked his allotted hours on finalizing the prism design, practiced his presentation for the conference, and kept up with his schoolwork. In his free time, he explored Austin with Miguel and Amara, discovering new favorite places like Barton Springs Pool and the quirky shops on South Congress Avenue. 2 days before they were scheduled to leave for Singapore, Elon called Raj and his parents into a private meeting. Sarah was there too, along with several executives Raj recognized from various project meetings. "Before we go public with Aquasol at the conference," Elon began, "there's something you should know. Something very few people at Tesla are aware of yet." Raj glanced at his parents, who looked as confused as he felt. "Project Aquasol isn't just about water filtration," Elon continued. "It's phase 1 of a much larger initiative." He nodded to an assistant, who dimmed the lights and activated a holographic display in the center of the table. A 3-dimensional model appeared, showing what looked like a small, self-contained community. Solar panels covered the roofs of modest homes. Gardens grew in carefully designed plots, and at the center was a larger structure housing what Raj recognized as an expanded version of the Aquasol system. "This is what we're calling a sustainability pod," Elon explained. "A self-sufficient mini-community designed to function independently of external infrastructure. Clean water, renewable energy, sustainable food production, all integrated into a system that can be deployed anywhere in the world." He looked directly at Raj. "Your water filter, particularly with the prism innovation, is the cornerstone of this vision. Without reliable clean water, nothing else in the pod works." Raj, stared at the hologram, trying to absorb the implications. So Aquasol isn't just about water. It's about creating entire communities? Exactly, Elon nodded. Starting with disaster relief areas, then expanding to regions with failing infrastructure or environmental challenges. We're calling the overall initiative Project Terra Nova, New Earth. And you want Raj to be part of this? His father asked, sounding both proud and concerned. If he wants to be, Elon replied. The NextGen program was always intended as a pipeline for identifying exceptional talents who could contribute to our most ambitious projects. Raj has more than proven himself. Sarah added, this wouldn't change anything about his current arrangements. Same schedule, same educational priorities. But it would mean being part of something even bigger than we initially described. Raj looked at the holographic community again, imagining how it might transform places like his grandmother's village. Not just clean water, but a complete system for a better life. I want to be part of it, he said quietly but firmly. His mother squeezed his hand. We'll support you, Beta, as long as there's still time for you to be a child as well as an innovator. That's the beauty of the NextGen program, Elon said with a rare smile. These young minds remind us to balance ambition with joy, work with play. Sometimes, like with that kaleidoscope, the most serious breakthroughs come from the most playful moments. As they left the meeting, Raj felt a sense of wonder at how far his journey had come. From a simple water filter built for a school science project to a key component of a vision that could change how communities around the world functioned. And it had all started with his grandmother's village, with seeing a problem and believing that he, even as a child, might help solve it. The Singapore International Convention Center buzzed with activity. Thousands of people moved through the vast exhibition hall, examining displays from water technology companies around the world. Giant screens showcased innovations in desalination, purification, and conservation. Engineers, investors, and government officials gathered in small groups, discussing the global water crisis and potential solutions. Raj stood behind the Tesla booth, trying to calm his racing heart. In just 30 minutes, he would be on stage with Elon Musk, presenting the Aquasol system to the world. Nervous? Sarah asked, adjusting the small microphone clipped to Raj's new button-down shirt, dark blue with the Tesla logo embroidered subtly on the pocket. Very, Raj admitted. What if I forget something important? Or say something wrong? Then you'll correct yourself and continue, Sarah said simply. Remember, you know this technology better than almost anyone. Just explain it the way you would to a friend. The Tesla booth was drawing significant attention even before the main presentation. A working prototype of the Aquasol system filtered visibly dirty water into crystal-clear drinking water. The distinctive cascade design with its prism array caught the eye of many attendees, who stopped to ask questions and take photos. On the other side of the exhibition hall, WaterTech had set up an even larger display. Their water filtration system, called Solar Pure, shared obvious similarities with Aquasol, but with a more complex and visually impressive design. A crowd had gathered around their booth, where a representative was conducting a demonstration. Their system looks fancier than ours, Raj observed. Appearances can be deceiving, Sarah replied. Based on the specifications they've published, our system is more efficient, more durable, and significantly less expensive to produce. Raj's parents approached, having just returned from exploring other parts of the convention. His mother straightened his collar nervously. Are you ready, Beta? She asked. Before Raj could answer, Elon appeared, wearing his customary black t-shirt under a dark blazer. There's our star inventor, he said cheerfully. Ready to show the world what you've created? Raj nodded, too nervous for words. Just remember, Elon continued, this isn't about Tesla or WaterTech. It's about bringing clean water to people who need it. Focus on that, and you'll do fine. As they made their way to the main stage, Raj noticed reporters and photographers following their group, cameras clicking rapidly. It was strange to think that his face might appear in news stories around the world. The main auditorium was packed with attendees. As Elon stepped onto the stage, a hush fell over the crowd, followed by enthusiastic applause. Thank you for that. Warm welcome, Elon began. Today we're here to talk about one of humanity's most basic needs, clean water. He continued with a powerful presentation about water scarcity, sharing statistics and images that highlighted the urgency of the problem. Then he introduced Project Aquasol, explaining Tesla's commitment to developing affordable, sustainable water solutions. But I'm not the best person to explain the technology, Elon said after a few minutes. For that, I'd like to introduce the young man who developed the core innovation behind our system. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Raj Patel. The spotlight shifted, and Raj walked onto the stage on legs that felt like jelly. The audience murmured in surprise. Clearly, they hadn't expected a child. Elon gave Raj an encouraging nod as he reached the microphone, which had been lowered to accommodate his height. Hello, Raj began, his voice cracking slightly. He took a deep breath and continued, My name is Raj Patel. I'm 10 years old, and I'm from Bangalore, India. The murmuring grew louder. Raj glanced at his parents in the front row. His father gave him a thumbs up, and somehow that simple gesture calmed his nerves. The Aquasol system began as a school science project. Raj continued, his voice growing stronger. My grandmother lives in a village where clean water is hard to get. I wanted to help. For the next 10 minutes, Raj explained the technology behind Aquasol, the cascade filtration system, the modular design, and the breakthrough prism array that allowed it to function efficiently even in low-light conditions. He used simple, clear language and demonstrated key concepts with animated graphics on the giant screen behind him. As he spoke, Raj forgot his nervousness. This wasn't about him. It was about the technology and the people it could help. He found himself speaking from the heart about his grandmother's village and the millions of communities like it around the world. Clean water shouldn't be a luxury, he concluded. It should be available to everyone, everywhere. That's what Aquasol is designed to do. Make clean water possible even in places without electricity or infrastructure. The audience erupted in applause as Elon rejoined Raj on stage. Together, they fielded questions from the audience, with Raj handling the technical queries about the filtration process and prism technology with remarkable poise. After the presentation, they returned to the Tesla booth to find it swarmed with interested attendees, including reporters from major news outlets. To Raj's surprise, cameras and microphones were thrust in his face as journalists called out questions. Raj, how does it feel to be Tesla's youngest innovator? Did you really develop this technology by yourself? What do your classmates think about your work with Elon Musk? Before Raj could respond, Sarah stepped in. We'll have a proper press session later. Right now, Raj needs some space. As they moved to a quieter area behind the booth, Raj spotted a group of people wearing WaterTech badges examining the Aquasol prototype with intense interest. One of them, a tall woman in a sharp business suit, approached Elon. Impressive presentation, Elon, she said, her tone professional but cool. Particularly your young presenter. Quite the PR move. Not a PR move, Helen, Elon replied evenly. Raj is the genuine inventor behind the core technology. Your Solar Pure system seems to have adopted a similar approach, though not as elegantly implemented. The woman, apparently a WaterTech executive, smiled tightly. Great minds think alike, I suppose. May the best technology win in the marketplace. As she walked away, Raj couldn't help but feel uneasy about the exchange. There was something almost predatory in the way the WaterTech people had been examining their system. The rest of the day passed in a whirlwind of demonstrations, interviews, and conversations with potential partners and distributors. By evening, Raj was exhausted, but exhilarated. Back in their hotel room, his parents showed him news articles already appearing online about the 10-year-old genius working with Elon Musk. "They're calling you a prodigy," his father said, scrolling through a news site on his tablet. "But I'm not," Raj protested. "I just had a good idea." "Good ideas are what change the world," his mother reminded him. The next morning, Raj woke to find one child genius trending on social media, with his presentation video being shared millions of times. Some comments were amazingly supportive, praising his innovation and poise. Others were skeptical, suggesting that a child couldn't possibly have contributed significantly to such advanced technology. "Don't read the comments," Sarah advised when she met them for breakfast. "Focus on what matters. The technology works, and people are excited about it." The second day of the conference brought more attention, including representatives from several non-governmental organizations interested in deploying aquasol systems in developing regions. Raj found these conversations particularly meaningful, as they focused on the practical impact of his invention rather than his age or relationship with Elon. A reporter from a major technology magazine interviewed Raj for nearly an hour, asking thoughtful questions about his design process and inspirations. "What would you say to other kids who have ideas but think no one will listen because they're young?" the reporter asked. Raj thought for a moment. "I'd say, don't wait to grow up before trying to solve problems. Sometimes kids see solutions adults miss because we look at things differently. And find adults who will take you seriously, like my science teacher, Mrs. Sharma, did, and like Elon and Sarah do now." On the final day of the conference, Elon made a surprise announcement. Tesla would be open-sourcing certain aspects of the aquasol technology, allowing other organizations to build upon their work. "Clean water is too important to keep locked behind patents," he explained during the closing session. "We believe in accelerating the world's transition to sustainable water, just as we're committed to sustainable energy." As Raj packed his bags, that evening, preparing for their flight to India the next day to visit his grandmother, he reflected on how dramatically his life had changed in just a few months. From a schoolboy in Bangalore to a presenter at an international conference. From a simple science project to an innovation that might help millions. "Are you ready to see Nani tomorrow?" his mother asked, folding his new Tesla shirts. "Yes," Raj nodded eagerly. "I can't wait to tell her everything." "She's already heard," his father said with a smile. "Your uncle showed her the video of your presentation. She told everyone in the village that her grandson is working with Elon Musk to solve the water problems." Raj laughed. "I bet no one believed her." "Actually," his mother said, "the village council has asked if you would consider installing an aquasol system there as a test site." Raj's eyes widened. "Really? Can we do that?" "I already discussed it with Sarah," his father confirmed. "Tesla is willing to provide a system as part of their field testing program. It would be one of the first deployments outside the United States." The thought of bringing clean water to his grandmother's village, the very place that had inspired his invention, filled Raj with more pride and satisfaction than all the media, attention and accolades combined. That night, as he drifted off to sleep, Raj wondered what would happen next in this unexpected journey. Whatever it was, he knew he was no longer just a boy with an idea. He was an inventor whose work might truly change lives. This is where you were born? Miguel asked in amazement, gazing around at the lush green landscape dotted with small houses and farmland. It's beautiful, Raj laughed. I wasn't born here. This is my grandmother's village. I was born in Bangalore. That's a big city. It had been 3 weeks since the Singapore conference, and now Raj stood with Miguel and Amara in the small village outside Bangalore where his grandmother lived. To his surprise, Elon had arranged for his friends to join the family on this trip, along with Sarah and a small Tesla technical team. Together, they would install and test the first Aquasol system in India. It doesn't look like what I expected, Amara admitted, wiping sweat from her forehead in the humid heat. When you said village without clean water, I pictured something poorer, Raj suggested. Many villages in India aren't poor in the way Westerners think. They have homes, farms, schools. What they often lack is infrastructure, like consistent electricity and clean water. His grandmother emerged from her modest home, her face lighting up at the sight of Raj. He ran to her, wrapping his arms around her thin frame. "My little engineer," she said proudly in Hindi, cradling his face in her hands. "Now, not so little anymore." After introductions and a meal of his grandmother's legendary biryani, the work began. The village council had allocated a central location near the existing well for the Aquasol installation. Currently, villagers drew water from this well and carried it home in buckets and jars, but the water required boiling before it was safe to drink, a process that consumed precious fuel and time. Under Sarah's guidance, Raj, Miguel, and Amara helped the Tesla team unpack and assemble the system. Villagers gathered to watch, offering help and asking questions that Raj translated. Unlike the sleek prototype shown in Singapore, this was a rugged, practical version designed for real-world use. "This is the true test," Sarah explained as they worked. Laboratory conditions can't replicate the challenges of actual deployment in the field. They worked through the afternoon, facing unexpected challenges. The ground was harder than anticipated, making it difficult to secure the base. The water from the well contained different minerals than they had tested for, requiring adjustments to the filtration settings. And a sudden brief downpour tested the system's weatherproofing. But by evening, the Aquasol unit stood ready. Its cascade design and prism array oriented to capture optimal sunlight. Its output pipes connected to a series of taps where villagers could collect clean water. "Tomorrow morning we'll activate it," Sarah announced. "Let's give the seals time to set properly overnight." That night, there was a celebration in the village. Tables were set up in the open area near the well, and everyone brought food to share. Musicians played traditional instruments while children danced. Raj's grandmother was the guest of honor, beaming with pride as villagers congratulated her on her grandson's achievements. "They've seen you on television," she told Raj. "Our village is famous now because of you." Raj introduced Miguel and Amara to his extended family and childhood friends who had traveled from Bangalore for the occasion. He was surprised at how easily his two worlds blended, his American friends fitting seamlessly into the vibrant Indian celebration. As the evening progressed, Raj found a quiet moment to sit with his grandmother on the steps of her home, watching the festivities. "Are you happy in America?" she asked, her weathered hand resting on his. "Yes," Raj nodded. "I miss India sometimes, but I'm learning so much at Tesla. And I've made good friends. Your grandfather would be so proud," she said softly. "He always said you were born with old eyes, seeing things others missed." The next morning, the entire village gathered for the activation of the Aquasol system. Even the regional government had sent representatives, alerted by the media attention surrounding Raj and the project. Sarah guided Raj through the final checks. "Since you're the inventor, you should have the honor," she said, indicating the activation switch. Raj looked at the expectant faces around him. His parents, his grandmother, his friends, the villagers. So many people counting on this system to work. What if it failed? What if his design wasn't as good as everyone thought? The minerals in the local water, the specific climate conditions, the wear and tear of daily use by hundreds of people. There were so many variables they hadn't been able to test fully. "It's okay to be nervous," his father said quietly beside him. "That's how you know it matters." Raj took a deep breath and flipped the switch. The system hummed to life, solar panels angling automatically to catch the morning sun. The cascade process began, water flowing visibly through the transparent sections of the filtration system. Everyone waited in tense silence. Would the water coming out be clean? Would the system work as designed? Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, but was really only a few minutes, Sarah checked the monitoring panel and gave a thumbs up. "The water quality readings are excellent. It's working perfectly." Raj turned the first tap, and clear water flowed out. A cheer erupted from the crowd. His grandmother stepped forward with a small clay cup, filled it with water from the tap, and drank deeply. "Sweet and clean," she declared, her eyes shining with tears of joy. Soon, villagers were lining up with containers of all sizes, eager to collect water that didn't need to be boiled or filtered further. Children giggled as they splashed their hands under the taps, amazed that water could come out so clear and pure. A young girl about Raj's age approached him shyly, clutching a water bottle filled from the Aquasol system. "My mother says I don't have to walk to the far well anymore," she told him. "She says I can use that time to study instead." Her simple words hit Raj with unexpected force. This wasn't just about clean water. It was about time saved, education made possible, lives improved in ways he hadn't fully imagined. For the next 3 days, the Tesla team monitored the system carefully, making minor adjustments and training local volunteers on basic maintenance. Raj, Miguel, and Amara led demonstrations for the village children, explaining how the filtration process worked and why clean water was so important for health. On their final evening in the village, a regional news crew arrived to document the successful installation. They interviewed Raj in both English and Hindi, asking about his journey from school project to international innovation. "What's next for you?" the reporter asked. Raj considered the question. "I'm still learning," he said finally. "But I hope whatever I do next will help people, just like this does." Later, as Raj packed his things for their return to Bangalore and then the flight back to Austin, his grandmother came to sit with him. "You have brought our village a great gift," she said. "Not just the water machine, but hope. The children here now believe they can do important things too, because they have seen you do it." Raj hadn't thought about that aspect, how his story might inspire other children. It was a responsibility he hadn't expected, but one that felt right. The next morning, as they prepared to leave, Sarah showed Raj something on her tablet. Data from Tesla's monitoring systems, showing that dozens of Aquasol units were now operating around the world, with hundreds more in production. "See this?" she said, pointing to a blinking dot in rural Kenya. "That's the first unit deployed in Africa. And here," she moved her finger to a location in Peru, "the first in South America. By the end of the year, we'll have them on every continent." A map appeared on the screen, showing projected deployment sites, thousands of dots spread across regions facing water scarcity challenges. Each dot represents approximately 1,000 people who will have access to clean water. Sarah explained. "This is the beginning of what your invention will achieve." Raj stared at the map, trying to comprehend the scale of impact. One invention, born from a simple school project, now multiplied thousands of times across the globe. Millions of people affected. Countless lives changed. "And this is just phase one," Sarah reminded him. "The sustainability pods are already in development, with your water system as their foundation." As their car pulled away from the village, Raj looked back at the Aquasol unit gleaming in the morning sun, villagers already gathering around it with their containers. His grandmother stood watching their departure, one hand raised in farewell, the other resting proudly on the system that her grandson had helped create. In that moment, Raj understood something profound. Innovation wasn't just about technology or clever ideas. It was about connecting human needs with human creativity. It was about seeing a problem, even through a child's eyes, and believing in the possibility of a solution. The journey from Bangalore to Austin, from school project to world-changing invention, had transformed not just Raj's life, but now the lives of others. And in the end, that was the greatest discovery of all. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first annual Terra Nova Initiative Conference. Elon Musk stood on stage in Tesla's Austin headquarters, addressing a packed auditorium. 6 months had passed since the successful deployment of the Aquasol system in Raj's grandmother's village, and today marked a new chapter in the project's evolution. Raj sat in the front row with his parents, dressed in a new suit that still felt stiff and formal. Next to him, Miguel fidgeted with his tie, while Amara sat perfectly composed, her hair styled elegantly for the occasion. 1 year ago, Elon continued, a 10-year-old boy from India built a simple water filter for a school science project. Today, that innovation has evolved into something that is changing lives across the globe. On the massive screen behind Elon, images appeared showing Aquasol installations in different settings: desert communities in Africa, flood-prone regions in Bangladesh, remote mountain villages in Peru. In each location, people gathered around the now familiar cascade systems, collecting clean water. Project Aquasol has exceeded our most optimistic projections, Elon explained. In just 6 months, we've deployed over 5,000 units in 28 countries, bringing clean water to approximately 4 million people. A murmur of appreciation rippled through the audience, which included Tesla executives, international partners, government representatives, and media from around the world. But clean water is just the beginning, Elon continued, his voice taking on the passionate tone he reserved for his most ambitious visions. Today, we're revealing the full scope of Project Terra Nova, our comprehensive initiative to create sustainable, self-sufficient communities in regions facing environmental and infrastructure challenges. The screen changed to show the detailed plans for sustainability pods, integrated systems combining water purification, renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and efficient housing. At the center of each design was the Aquasol system, serving as the foundation for the other components. The first 10 sustainability pods will be deployed within the next year, Elon announced. Sites have been selected based on need, community engagement, and environmental factors. We believe these pods will demonstrate a new model for development, one that empowers communities to thrive independently of failing infrastructure or environmental constraints. Raj listened with growing excitement. He'd been briefed on the IB plans but hadn't seen the complete vision laid out so comprehensively. The scope was breathtaking, far beyond what he could have imagined when he built his first filter prototype from recycled bottles and charcoal. None of this would be possible without the creativity and insight of our NextGen innovators, Elon said, gesturing toward Raj, Miguel, and Amara. These young minds approached problems without preconceived limitations, finding solutions that our adult engineers had overlooked. The audience applauded as spotlights briefly illuminated the three young innovators. Raj felt his face grow warm with the attention. "And now," Elon continued, "I'd like to introduce someone who can speak firsthand about the impact of the Aquasol system. Please welcome Mrs. Lakshmi Patel, grandmother of our young inventor, who has traveled from India to be with us today." Raj turned in surprise as his grandmother rose from her seat a few rows back. No one had told him she would be speaking. She walked slowly but confidently to the stage, her traditional sari a bright splash of color against the sleek, modern backdrop. With him, Sarah translating her Hindi, Nani described how the Aquasol system had transformed daily life in her village. Women no longer spent hours collecting and boiling water. Waterborne illnesses had decreased dramatically. Children had more time for school and play. "My grandson saw our need with a child's eyes, but solved it with an engineer's mind," she concluded, her voice filled with pride. "In our village, we now say that the greatest resources are not in the ground, but in our children's imaginations." After the presentation, there was a reception where Raj found himself surrounded by people eager to meet the young inventor behind Aquasol. Business leaders offered him internships for when he was older. University representatives spoke of scholarships. Government officials from several countries invited him to visit their nations and consult on water infrastructure projects. It was overwhelming, but Raj noticed something interesting. They weren't treating him like a child prodigy or a novelty. They were engaging with him as they would a respected colleague, asking thoughtful questions about his design process and listening carefully to his answers. "You've become quite the celebrity," Amara commented as she joined him at the refreshment table. "How does it feel?" "Strange," Raj admitted. "A year ago, I was just a regular kid in Bangalore." "You were never just anything," Miguel interjected, arriving with a plate piled high with appetizers. "That's why you're here." Later, as the reception was winding down, Elon gestured for Raj to join him in a quiet corner of the room. "There's something I haven't shared publicly yet," Elon said, his voice low. "Something only a few people at Tesla." "No." Raj waited curiously. "The Terra Nova initiative isn't just about helping communities in developing regions," Elon explained. "It's about preparing humanity for larger challenges ahead." He pulled out his phone and showed Raj a series of graphs: rising temperatures, extreme weather events, resource depletion projections. "Climate change is accelerating faster than most models predicted," Elon continued. "Within your lifetime, large portions of the Earth may become increasingly difficult for human habitation. Water scarcity, in particular, will become one of our greatest challenges." Raj studied the graphs, the implications sinking in. "So, the sustainability pods are prototypes for how humans might need to live in a more hostile climate," Elon confirmed. "Self-sufficient, resource-efficient communities that can function independently when traditional infrastructure fails." He placed a hand on Raj's shoulder. "Your water filter isn't just helping people today. It's helping us develop systems that may be crucial for humanity's resilience in the future." The weight of this revelation left Raj momentarily speechless. His simple school project had somehow become connected to humanity's response to climate change, perhaps even to its survival. "Why are you telling me this?" Raj finally asked. "Because you've earned the right to know the full impact of your work," Elon replied, "and because the NextGen program isn't just about finding young talent, it's about preparing the generation that will face these challenges head-on." As Raj rejoined his parents and grandmother, His mind was racing with this new perspective. The stakes were even higher than he'd realized, the potential impact of his innovation even more profound. That evening, in the apartment that now felt fully like home, Raj's family gathered for dinner with Miguel, Amara, and their families. The conversation flowed easily, switching between English, Hindi, and Spanish, filled with laughter and plans for the future. "What happens next for you, Raj?" Miguel's mother asked. "Will you continue with the NextGen program?" "Definitely," Raj nodded. "But I'll be in regular school most of the time. The NextGen work is just part-time." "He'll be in 7th grade next year," his mother added proudly. 2 grades ahead because of his accelerated program. Amara, who would be starting her senior year of high school, gave Raj a teasing smile. "Maybe you'll catch up to me eventually." Later, after everyone had left and his grandmother had gone to bed in the guest room, Raj sat with his parents on their balcony, looking out at the Austin skyline twinkling with lights. "We've been talking," his father said, "about our plans for the future." Raj tensed slightly. Were they thinking of returning to India? The thought of leaving Tesla, his friends, and the projects he'd become so invested in made his stomach twist. "We've decided to apply for permanent residency in the United States," his father continued. "My company has offered me a full-time position here in Austin, and your mother has been offered a teaching position at the university." "So we're staying?" Raj asked, hope rising in his voice. "If that's what you want," his mother said. "This is a family decision. I do want to stay," Raj confirmed quickly. "But I also want to keep our connections to India. Maybe we could spend summers there?" "That's what we were thinking too," his father smiled. "The best of both worlds." As his parents discussed logistics, Raj's thoughts drifted to what Elon had shared with him earlier. The challenges facing humanity were enormous: climate change, resource depletion, infrastructure failures. The Aquasol system and sustainability pods were just the beginning of what would be needed. But for the first time, those challenges didn't seem insurmountable. If a 10-year-old's school project could evolve into a technology helping millions, what might be possible when thousands of young minds were empowered to tackle these problems? The NextGen program was expanding, with Tesla planning to open innovation labs in several countries. Miguel and Amara were already mentoring newer participants. A movement was beginning, children and teenagers around the world inspired to believe that their ideas mattered, that they could contribute to solving humanity's biggest challenges. Raj thought about the young girl in his grandmother's village, who now had more time to study because she didn't have to walk miles for water. What might she invent someday? What problems might she solve? The true revelation wasn't just that Raj's invention had changed lives, or that it played a role in preparing for climate challenges. It was the recognition that innovation could come from anywhere, from a village in India, from a child's perspective, from seeing familiar problems with fresh eyes. As stars appeared in the Texas sky, Raj felt a profound sense of possibility. The journey that had begun with a simple desire to help his grandmother's village had opened doors he never knew existed. And beyond those doors lay a future limited only by imagination and the courage to turn ideas into reality. Whatever challenges came next, for him, for Tesla, for humanity, Raj was ready to face them, one innovation at a time. Where are you listening from today? We'd love to hear in the comments below. If you enjoyed this inspiring tale about innovation, perseverance, and making a difference in the world, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting stories. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. Together, we can spread kindness and awareness about important issues like clean water access and the incredible potential of young minds when given the right opportunities. Thank you for joining us on this journey, and we'll see you in the next video.